This is your chance to dive into the heart of manufacturing. This is your chance to hear about company culture and people making an impact in the industry. This is your chance to join the conversation with host Jim Mayer in the Creators Lounge.
The Creators Lounge is proud to welcome Google Cloud.
Hello and welcome to the Creators Lounge. I am joined by Mika Devonshire from Google Cloud. And Mika, first, welcome to the Creators Lounge.
Thank you.
Very excited to have you here. Second, I've been looking forward to this conversation since we had our pre-interview. So I'm really excited for everybody else here to hear how smart and just like a badass you are. I don't know if I should say that. They can cut it out. Anyway, Mika, tell us your background. Give us how you ended up in this seat today, working for Google Cloud, focusing on what you focus on.
Sure. Thank you, Jim. And I'm very excited for this because, cybersecurity is huge. It's been a big part of my story. So I'll start with, majoring in Arabic and Russian at Princeton. Wow. Studying counter-nuclear terrorism and really thinking about that as where I was going to focus because my personal mission is to protect people and improve security. When I thought I was graduating and going into one field of intelligence, fast forward, I am now in cyber intelligence. So I spent most of my 20s, surprisingly, getting a computer science degree and a master's degree in cybercrime investigations when I realized that we wouldn't be fighting wars in cyberspace, or we wouldn't be fighting wars on the ground, we would actually be fighting wars in cyberspace. Yeah. So that pivot occurred early on. It really reinforced the fact that in order to best protect and defend, we need to look at the computer systems and all the technology that we're using as another attack surface.
Sure. And let's zero in on that passion you have for this cybersecurity realm, because that's not necessarily a path that a lot of people say, I want to go down this path, right? But your mission personally, it extends beyond just that cybersecurity. You want to really protect people in this cyberspace. Tell us about that.
Sure. So when you think about yourself as an individual, as a member of a company, as a member of a community, there are a number of ways that I think you want to feel protected. And so cyber is a unique space where you're responsible for your own actions, your own technology footprint, your own security. Sure. So when I started seeing, friends and family that I knew being hacked, when I read in the news about, entire countries being taken down by a cyber attack, it really prompted me to dive into this. And that's why I focused on cybercrime investigations to get to the root of what was causing all of this to happen. And now, fast forward, what can we do about it, and how can people stay or try to stay ahead of that problem?
That's awesome. And we in manufacturing, we know about physical safety, right? And that's OSHA and just that physical safety, plant safety. We're starting to talk more about psychological safety for employees and stuff like that, creating safe places. I don't think that we have focused enough on cybersecurity, especially in this space. And in a space that, as we can see just by walking around IMTS, there's a lot of connectivity in these manufacturing facilities, and cybersecurity does keep the employees safe. Talk to us a little bit about how that cybersecurity keeps employees safe at manufacturers.
Sure. And I will focus, I think, my answer a bit on your standard manufacturing company that is responsible for not only its production lines, but also all of the technology that their employees use.
Yes.
And it starts out with really good cyber hygiene. So your responsibility for the security of a company is that physical side, but on the cyber side, understanding what that technology footprint looks like, what potential vulnerabilities there might be, and then trying to create a plan of action to address it. So I have kind of 3 areas of recommendation for small to medium manufacturers. It extends up to the larger manufacturers as well. But it's to focus on building a solid asset inventory, having segmentation in place between your different networks and different purposes, and then finally controlling the principle of least privilege.
Okay.
So those 3 steps together, I think, are at least a solid start
Yeah.
to going in the right direction, because then you can say you've done the basics to protect your employees and provide that psychological safety that they know they wouldn't be attacked and those systems wouldn't go down unnecessarily.
That makes total sense, and I do want to dive into each one of those after a break. We'll be right back after a sponsored break.
Everybody in the 313, put your manufacturing hands up and follow me, because we're going to season 3 of Road Tripping with Steve. This is awesome. I've never been in an automotive facility like this. Hello? Hi, this is Road Tripping with Steve. I need to leave and go let my head cool down. The Robo Drill is seriously one of my favorite machines.
Brand new program, call it whatever you want.
Steve's program.
All right.
Can you take it past 100%? Do it again.
All right, and we are back in the Creators Lounge with Mika Devonshire from Google Cloud. Mika, before we broke, in a previous answer, you talked about wars being fought not on the ground, but in cyberspace. And before we dive back into your 3 pillars there, I want you to talk to us more about that. And really how that incident can be responded to and how we can combat those wars that are fought in cyberspace. Gosh, long day.
Sure thing. So the threat landscape at large extends from your own personal computer to your most private corporate secrets. So that threat landscape for a manufacturer is their intellectual property. It's their production line. It's how they operate. And there's a lot more value there that I think is either undervalued or not being protected to the same degree that it would be at a corporate enterprise, where they know that there's, people's private information and there's business information. So I think changing that narrative to say, we are part of this attack surface. We are responsible for making sure that all of these attackers out there who are looking to either steal our patents or go after us for geopolitical reasons.
Right.
Hackers can attack a company for a number of reasons. And so that's what I see as being this pivot to cyber warfare. And it can be in small to large scale forms.
Sure, and it's not just necessarily local, right? This is a global issue, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So different countries, and I spent time overseas in Hong Kong and Singapore.
Of course you did.
Yes, investigating cyber crimes there. There's just a different appetite for spending on cybersecurity, investing in technologies everywhere you go. And I think manufacturing is one where, your number one priority is your uptime, your productivity, staying productive throughout the year. One ransomware incident could take out a manufacturer for a significant period of time. So when you look globally across not only these industries, but across different continents, they have different levels of regulation and different expectations in terms of what they have to do. But there are really good standard bodies out there. NIST has a framework for manufacturers where they can follow some simple steps to improve their cybersecurity. There are other frameworks and requirements, depending on if you provide federal contracts, you have to adhere to a number of security standards. So we're making strides in the right direction, I think, but globally, the attackers come from everywhere. And cybercrime is the third largest economy behind the US and China. So if you were to pool all the cyber activity into one nation's GDP, you would see that they're actually making a lot of money from this, so it's not going away.
Okay, that's the mind-blowing stat of the day. Thank you, Mika. So the regulations that NIST or the guidelines that NIST has in place for manufacturers, how well do those coincide with your 3 pillars that we just talked about before the last break?
Sure. I mean, I think that if we start with these 3, you can build on them, but of course, as you're starting out, small to medium manufacturers might not be able to afford some of the higher level controls, some of the sophisticated cybersecurity management software, but something like an asset inventory is first and foremost in my mind.
Walk us through I didn't mean to interrupt, but I don't know what an asset inventory is, and I don't know how many people here do. They may all be smarter than me, but walk us through that real quick.
Sure. So you can't measure what you can't see.
Yes.
And you can't improve your security baseline if you don't have at least understanding of what your footprint looks like, not only your OT environment, your IT environment, which is much more familiar to people from the security and IT world.
Sure.
There's also a very large connectivity piece between third parties, between connected devices, IoT, this kind of extended footprint that requires some level of attention. So building out an inventory and starting to manage your footprint in a responsible way is kind of the first step.
That makes total sense. And we're going to dive into, after this next break, some very specific ways that Google Cloud can help manufacturers right after this next sponsored break. All right, we are back in the Creators Lounge with Mika Devonshire from Google Cloud. And when we went to the break, we were talking for a little bit. You have some pretty mind-blowing statistics around segmentation. Can you share those? I don't want to lead you with a question that is way off base, so just dive into your statistics here.
Sure. So Mandiant is part of Google Cloud. These are your leading cyber threat intelligence researchers. They're responding to incidents, so when a company gets compromised, but also helping proactively identify and help fix issues. The reason why segmentation is so important is the rise in attacks on edge devices. So think your Cisco, Ivanti, F5 appliances has gone up significantly. And the number of vulnerabilities on those edge devices has gone up, meaning there's a lot more at stake. So from 2 reported vulnerabilities a month to 4.75. From medium...
So over double.
Over double every month.
Wow.
There's more vulnerabilities, and all of these are internet-connected devices. So if you think that you haven't yet segmented, you run a flat network and you haven't yet separated those internet-connected devices from what's really critical and important for you to have up all the time, that's a really great first step that you can take.
Okay.
And of those vulnerabilities, unfortunately, about 1 in 5 cannot be patched.
Really?
For some of the legacy systems and technology we use, there's nothing you can do, making segmentation all the more important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's astronomical. Manufacturers are the pointy tip of the spear when it comes to threats, cybersecurity threats, right? How specifically can Google Cloud help manufacturers and this group of people here be safer?
Sure. Well, we do have experts on staff with Mandiant, with our consulting practices, that really start from basics, and they can run an ICS health check. So it's looking at the security of your industrial control systems, and then as you mature and you develop your security program, they can assess the health of that, either against a pen test, against a framework, against your goals. So they'll kind of work and grow with you as a consulting organization that knows the space very well.
That's amazing. And so how many different arms does Google Cloud have when it comes to cybersecurity, right? You've talked about Mandiant, your consulting. What else is available for manufacturers?
Sure. Well, we're very excited that we can now bring Google Cloud's expertise in data and insight to the OT environment.
That's amazing.
That kind of works in the way with our security operations platform, and the same quality and level of insight you can gain into the operational functions of your factory floor. You can see how they're performing from a security standpoint.
Okay.
Detecting incidents, having response automated with AI, being able to take action quickly, and avoiding having to take the entire network or plant down because you have this proactive measure. So we have software in place, our own cloud. We stand by the security of our cloud by design, by default, and in deployment. And then we also supplement that with our consulting services.
Awesome. So it sounds like manufacturers can almost collaborate with Google Cloud and look at it more as a partnership than a vendor service, right? Am I off base in that?
Exactly. Like, we want to be your security partner because we really want to bring our expertise in ICS and OT together with your goals and your transformation with the cloud to make you, the most successful manufacturer you can be.
Wow. I love it. As we start to wrap up here, Mika, I am really curious. I asked you this before, but I'm asking you again, just on the microphone. What's the coolest thing you've seen at IMTS so far?
Well, as a former dancer, I saw an expo where they had cranes of different sizes, picking up objects of, increasing weight, but they were all in synchronization, almost like a water ballet. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
So seeing, just the innovation and creativity that goes into a lot of these demos, I'm going to go to the software hall next on your recommendation.
Yeah, please do. There's some amazing technology over there. And quite frankly, probably some great partners for Google Cloud, companies that could use you. Folks, this has been an amazing conversation with Mika. Mika, thank you very much for joining me today. Join us next time on the Creators Lounge. Have a great night.
Thank you, Jim.